I think I've got a pretty good idea for a dance craze that would sweep the nation. It goes like this. Pass the tuna and shut the fuck up. Pass the tuna and shut the fuck up. It goes on like that for quite some time. It's very repetitive, as most modern songs are. I feel like I'm in touch with the trends. I feel like I could write this music, you know? I have no musical talent, but truly I feel I could write this music. So I think I missed my calling in life. But since I didn't get into songwriting, or music writing, whatever you want to call it, I guess we're going to answer questions instead. From my audience. I am high, and I'm working on drunk. So, there you go. How did the oil feel? This is a reference to another of my sex tapes that has leaked. And I'm supposed to feel ashamed, I guess. How did it feel? It felt hot. In both senses of the word. I enjoyed it. And if you want to know my opinion on it, just go watch my video, Bananagate 2011. Because my response to this new shit is the same as my response to that old shit. Now let's move on. It seems in modern day you can either have no to very little government like libertarians or too much government. Which would you choose since you can't have the moderate amount you want? This is a very strange way of framing a debate about government. It's like we've forgotten all about the idea of any sort of qualities that we want in government, and now it's all just about the quantity of government. How much government is there going to be? It's like the only difference between North Korea and America is that North Korea has more government. There's no difference in the quality of the government because that's impossible, apparently, by the metric we're using in America now. And it's really retarded. I don't understand why every conversation about government in America has turned into a size contest. It's like, oh, yeah, well, you know, sometimes you need the little government. You need a little government, just little, because you don't want to hurt them, you know? Well, I think a medium-sized government is the best, you know? Because you got that good forward thrust motion, but, you know, you ain't too big, so it's going to hurt, but you ain't so little that she's going to laugh. And then it's like, oh, no, you got to have a big government, big old government, so you really let people know who's in charge. Yeah, they really ram that shit home. That seems to be like our level of discourse about the fucking government. It's all about, the size of government. What's the appropriate size of government? You know, the size of the government should be a distant second consideration to the efficacy of the government. Wouldn't you rather have a government that works and say, fuck the size? You know, if obviously the smallest government you can have that performs the function of what the government does to a satisfactory level, that's the size of government you fucking want. The argument is not about, you can't argue the size of something before you've even arranged what the job that it's like trying to figure out what the fucking appropriate tool for a job is before you've even fucking visited the job site or figured out what you're gonna fucking do. Do you think you will experience the downfall of religion in your lifetime? No way. That would have to be so incredibly naive for that thought to even cross my fucking mind. People are gullible. People are herd-like. People form groups and cliques, and they want to fucking just... It's like, okay, we're the monkey tribe. We're up here, we've realized there's strength in numbers, so we form larger and larger collectives to impress our enemies, and then our collectives accrue all these fucking great accomplishments, like, hey, check us out, we got the nuclear fucking bomb, now we can kill a bunch of people at once, so you better listen to what the fuck we say. You know, now we're the big swinging dick of the world. It's just, you're never gonna deprogram that entirely from people. You know, maybe there will come a point where no one seriously calls themselves a Christian anymore. Just like no one seriously goes around. Well, I mean, some people go around saying they believe in Thor and Zeus, but I mean, they're kind of considered ridiculous, completely archaic, an anachronism that doesn't even belong in this fucking time. Maybe someday Christianity will be viewed like that, but you can bet your ass that human beings will have moved on to some new, rigidly dogmatic belief structure that's oppressive and stupid and stunts thought and closes minds. That's just human nature. You're not going to get rid of that. What do you think of the fact that a large amount of your viewers are teens? I don't know if an inordinate amount of my audience is teenaged. I look at my demographics. It seems like that demographic is fairly represented, but they're not even the largest demographic. I mean, 18 to 24 is the largest, and you know, the next demographic up, like 24 to I think 35 or whatever, is like pretty much the same size. So I don't think there's like if you want to really look at my demographics with an eye for something that's disproportionate, I have a disproportionately low number of female viewers. My audience is almost entirely male. Well, about a little less than 90%. Because I think last I checked, it was about 13.8% of my audience that was female. And I don't know why that is. I guess I must lack the good looks and charm of some of the other citizens of this glorious YouTube community. No, I kid. It can't be that because, you know, I don't believe that girls would be so shallow as to judge someone for their appearance. Maybe they just don't like what I have to say. I don't know. It's very strange because in my life, I've always been the kind of, I don't really like get into guy stuff too much. Like, I don't care. I don't give a fuck about engines, or, you know, I don't really care too much about football unless it's like the Saints. That's like my team. But I mean, anything other than that, I mean, I'm not really too into it. I know enough to get through a basic conversation. You know, if I start talking to a sports fan, they start rattling off statistics, and every once in a while I'm like, yeah, that they need a stronger quarterback. Oh yeah, that defensive line is weak, but they have a great offense. And then they just fill in the blanks, and they're like, yeah, fucking, they got this draft pick from this school, and this guy did this, and it's like, yeah, okay, you're really into this more than I am, but you know, it's just kind of like I don't really get along with the other guys too often, you know, not like that, the guys. So I was always like the guy that hung out with like the women, and I just talk with them because they were really talking shit that was more my speed, because they were just bullshitting and making fun of other people that weren't around, and I could easily help with that. And so I mean, I guess I grew up kind of like talking more to women and girls than I did to men and boys, so it's kind of strange for me now to be in this position where I'm speaking almost exclusively to that demographic. But, you know, it's just one of those things where life works out strangely. How do you feel about the transgender, and do you think it's fair to say they are one of the last groups that are still unfairly hated by most of the general populace? I think there's a lot of groups that are hated by the general populace. I think that there's still a lot of racists in this country. There's still a lot of sexists in this country on both sides, in my opinion. There's still a lot of ideological bias in this country. there's still a lot of people who are religiously biased in this country. I think there's a lot of people that hate a lot of people. And I mean, quite frankly, if I'm honest with myself, I'm one of the people that hate a lot of people. I hate people because, I view the common person as stupid and oblivious. But, in certain ways, I could see how they would find me stupid and oblivious. So, I mean, I guess I'm outside of it enough to realize that it's all bullshit, and I'm just another cog in the machine, and there's nothing I can really do about it. But getting back to the actual subject of the question and not my indulgent rant, I have nothing against transgender people or any other people who... I mean, I don't care what people do, like, in terms of that. How could I? I do things that other people might judge, and of course they have. So I mean, I don't judge other people for that kind of shit. I mean, if you're not hurting anyone else, then I say do what you got to do. I mean, we all have our things that we feel like we need to do, and as long as your thing isn't, violating someone else's rights, then I say you're good. A few years back, you did a video called Women's and Fish, in which you played an imbecilic Russian YouTuber named Kovar. This is one of the funniest characters I've seen from you, and I'm wondering if you will make another Kovar video sometime in the near future. Also, on the subject of bringing back old things, will you do another Hate Week? Kovar was, I always kind of intended to do Kovar again, but it just never really fit into what I was doing. And now it's just been so long. But, Kovar started as like a Ray William Johnson parody. I mean, the voice didn't start as that, obviously, but I thought it'd be funny to have, not really Russian, but just pseudo-Russian, because I didn't want to give him a nationality, because I didn't want to, I didn't want to be making fun of fucking, like, Russians or something, because it just too reminiscent of that weird Cold War era shit where it's like, oh, the Ruskies are gonna fucking come in here with their bayonets and fucking kill our babies and shit. But so I didn't want to contribute to that. So I probably shouldn't be that candid, because that reveals that I actually do have a social conscience that I implement, which which makes me seem less oblivious in that arena, and thus makes it easier to blame me for my mistakes. But anyway, the women and fish thing, I mean, I wanted to do more, but it really kind of felt like once I'd done it once, I felt like the only thing I could really do was repeat the same joke. I just felt like anything I did further would just be... Like, how sometimes there's like a good movie, like a funny fucking comedy or something, but then they make like a shitty, total rehash sequel, like The Hangover, The Hangover comes out, it's pretty fucking funny, it makes a shitload of money, and then of course they gotta cash in on it, so they make a sequel, and the sequel is like the same exact fucking thing, but this time it's just a little crazier. And of course it's boring, and you totally know what to expect at any given moment, and the concept just isn't fresh anymore. And that's kind of how I felt with Kovar. But I guess enough time has passed that maybe it'd be fresh again, and I could consider that if there's really like popular demand for it. So Kovar fans, make yourselves be known. As for Hate Week, I don't know if I could do another Hate Week. I don't know if I have that much hatred left in me. I think that the hate fields are growing more barren as time passes on, because I take as time progresses, like when I was full of, like, all my hate that I had was really like left over from when I was a teenager, like because I had that 15-year-old like fuck you mentality, like I'm gonna fuck, the world thinks it's gonna take me on, fuck the world, and then as time goes on that fades a little bit. By the time I was 21, it was like, well, the world's pretty fucked up, but you know what? I'm still going to make my dent, And then by the time you reach my age, you're like, the world don't give a shit. They don't give a fuck what I do. If I tried, if I dedicated my life right now to causing as much of a dent in this world as I possibly could, it would not amount to shit. You know, and everyone understands that. Everyone fucking feels that. I mean, every once in a while you see some inspirational shit to the contrary, like, oh, look at this person who gave up everything and they fucking saved this village in Africa or something. Oh, wait, I did save a village in Africa, now that I think about it. I did that water donation thing, and it built that well. So, yes, I made a difference in the world. I was wrong. My cynicism was defeated. But no, I mean, it really, in the grand scheme of things, no one person really fucking matters. I mean, it really, in the grand scheme of things, the entire human race doesn't fucking matter. But even if you're going to look at it from the biased, anthropocentric perspective, which why wouldn't you, because you are human beings, it's still just, it's one person still doesn't matter. Would you shave your beard if someone offered you $50? Yeah, because I can grow it back in like a month, maybe, easily. Who do you imitate? Not only in your craft, but in other aspects of your character. This does not have to be limited to conscious imitation. I definitely imitate in my craft. I mean, like, there's no one person that I'm really, like, I've never looked at someone and been like, I must emulate everything that person does if I want to succeed in this task. I've always been more of like a borrower. I definitely was inspired a lot by George Carlin and Marilyn Manson. They both kind of gave me this critical way of looking at society, and I guess a blueprint for how I wanted to approach the public, which is as an antagonist. You know, I'm not going to be Zarathustra that comes down from the mountain thinking that the people are actually going to listen to me. I'm going to be the fucking asshole, villainous motherfucker that comes down from the mountain and says, fuck you people. So I guess I kind of got that antagonistic attitude from them, and also from George, a lot of like the style of how I deliver jokes, and also Bill Hicks, and then tons of others. I mean, I've studied all of them. I tend to study the great comedians and try to see what makes their delivery work and process it in my mind and see how I can maybe add it to my own repertoire, because really, comedians are the best at conveying simple universal ideas, but in ways that kind of make people think about them from a different perspective. You know, there's so much out there that we just take for granted, and we never really devote any thought to it. It's just something that's kind of ingrained. And there's this wonderful proclivity amongst the good stand-up comedians, the truly great ones, to take those elements and examine them in a new light and in a new way, and then show everyone else in such a way that it seems obvious to everyone. And that's the kind of power that I desire for myself. I guess, you know, obviously right now I'm not trying to do that. This is more of like a candid, let's just, you know, sit and kind of chat and be, you know, two people talking for a second. But when I do my, you know, certain of my Amazing Atheist videos, because I'm not always trying to be funny. Sometimes I'm trying to get a serious message across. But usually I'm trying to inject levity into a world that is very dark and grim and upsetting, with a lot of things to worry about and a lot of negative prospects. What's your thoughts on two gay men bringing up children? Do you think it will affect the kids negatively? For e.g., they might get bullied at school for having two dads. I know bullying is natural, but the parents in this case are giving an exceptional reason to bully the poor kids more. Or if the kids should catch dad and dad fucking on the sofa when they come home unexpectedly. Kids who catch their parents, man and woman, fucking don't usually get fucked up in the head from seeing it. I selected that question because it's the stupidest thing I've heard in a while, and I happen to be a person who is exposed to more stupid things than most. I mean, first of all, the letting bullies at school affect your behavior, especially if you're an adult, is just horrendous. You're just sending the message that, oh, well, if a bully is going to beat someone up because we do this, then we can't do that because we gotta let the bullies have their way because they're the ones who are willing to use violence. I don't think that makes any sense. I don't think it makes sense to hold back social progress so as not to upset the thugs. I mean, I guess I can see, if from a very pragmatic standpoint, where you're coming from, but, you know, if you have any sort of moral conscience whatsoever, you can see how that's just a preposterous position to hold, because what you're basically doing is just saying that we should just always give the utmost power and respect to whoever is the strongest. And I think that's a very old-fashioned way of viewing the world. Unfortunately, it is still the way that very many people do view the world. Your second point was that a child might walk in on the two male parents fucking on the couch, and the kid will be fucked up. I don't really see how or why a child would be more fucked up from seeing two men have sex than they would be from seeing a man and a woman have sex. It's just sex. It's a normal biological function that happens. You know, we have different holes in our bodies, and we have us men have these outie things. Some more out than others, but, you know, we have them, and we can stick them in the various holes, and we do. And it's been going on for quite some time now, and it's really not hurting anybody, I promise you. Everyone's fine. There's not very few psychological implosions going on. Question: have you heard of a treadmill? The funny thing about this one is that herd is spelled H-E-R-D, which is ironic because that's exactly what that person is part of, a herd. A treadmill, yes, I've heard of it. It's a device where you run in place. Doesn't sound like you're going to get anywhere doing that. Running in place, not a very productive activity. If I'm going to run, I'm going to run to an actual location. If I want to walk, I'm going to go on a fucking walk. I'm not going to walk around on a stationary machine. What are your thoughts on holding your hand over your heart during the national anthem? Do you think we should still do it? Why and why not? Look, the national anthem, I don't feel, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't feel any special stirring inside. I don't feel any sort of great reverence. And that's not a decision I've made, okay? It's not like I've sat down and said, like, I'm not going to give a shit about the national anthem. I just don't. And, but I'll do the respectful thing. I'll stand up. I'll even put my hand over my heart if fucking someone else is looking. But, if I'm going to be standing up and put my hand on my heart, then the fucking singer does not need to try to make the song a fucking epic 90-minute long fucking masterpiece. I've heard these singers just try to fucking make this song go on forever. You really don't need to do that. Just fucking get through the song. We've all heard it before. We've heard every variation of every fucking syllable. You could stop. Just knock it the fuck off. It's not even that good of a fucking song, okay? Want to answer our questions instead of making your own up, TJ, you fucking idiot? I'm just joking. I made that question up. I don't know what the person's talking about. I guess that's a conspiracy theory, that in the last 2 answers videos I didn't answer real questions. I just made up my own. That's not true. Every question that I answered, you can go and find it in the fucking answer section. So, why are there so many idiots in the world, TJ? There are so many idiots in the world because it's, I really don't fucking know. I don't know. It was explained to me once before. I asked my friend Galen why there are so many idiots in the world, but I was fucking high out of my mind, and I could not follow what the hell he was saying, because Galen kind of talks like an encyclopedia sometimes. And so he went off and he explained it, and it made sense from what I could put together, but I immediately forgot about it. So it's a good chance that I am one of the idiots in the world. And he was probably taking a secret jab at me or something. His explanation probably didn't even make sense. He probably just spouted gobbledygook at me and made me nod my head to it, just to prove that I'm an idiot. I don't know why there's so many idiots in the world. I guess maybe that it's because it's easier to be an idiot. I mean, it really, there's nothing in today, I mean, there's nothing about modern society really, there's no intelligence required for most people. Idiots get through life just fine. So I guess that it's the path of least resistance. I mean, why think if you don't really have to? It just makes you sad. Okay, what does thought really have to offer you? Okay, if you think about the world, you will be constantly worried and stressed out. You'll be hyper aware of all the things that could go wrong. You will feel powerless to change all of the injustice that you see everywhere. And you'll have a keen awareness of your own insignificance and mortality. Whereas the idiot gets to go through life with, just oblivious, doesn't have to give a shit. Just la la la. When something bad happens to them, they don't fucking think about it beyond like a one-step level, like, lost my job, must have been Mexicans, la 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 la. And then, when it comes to fears of mortality, it's just like, oh, well, I'm going to go up to heaven and be with Jesus, so don't matter none. So, I mean, that's probably why there's more idiots. It's an easier path through life. What do you hate most about yourself? The thing, I guess, that I probably hate most about myself is, I don't know. I wish I had more energy for creative endeavors. There's all these things that I want to do, and sometimes I get overly excited about all the things I'm going to do, and it's hard for me to focus on one thing when there's so many other things out there. And every time I turn my attention to one project, I feel like, oh, but I mean, I could do so much more stuff if only I was doing this project or that project. So I guess that I tend to be a bit scatterbrained, and I try to take on too much stuff at once instead of just focusing on the things I'm doing. I guess that's probably the thing that I hate most about myself. Most of the things that are wrong with me, I'm actually pretty proud of. So, but that's one thing I'm not, because that hurts my output. And what I make is what I am. I can't be forever. Do you think gender-specific roles have any place in society? And do you think the binary gender system is broken? What do you think about transgender people? I already kind of answered that one. Do you believe that trans people deserve the same rights as cisgender non-trans people? We'll just stick with the gender stuff, because we already kind of addressed the trans issue. I think I've said it before, but I'll just take this opportunity to reaffirm that a person should be judged by their individual merits, not for their race or their gender or any other superficial factor. I think that everyone deserves the same rights to do the same jobs and to have the same pay and everything else. Which is, it's a very strange thing, because I believe that with, you know, to the bottom of my heart, and I say it, and I've affirmed it, and I've reaffirmed it, and I've reaffirmed it again, and yet it seems that the feminist culture that exists on a stronghold on Tumblr, but around the internet in general, these social justice types, these atheism plus people, these Tumblr feminists, all these very politically correct groups, they all seem to peg me as public enemy number one, that has this deep misogyny and racism and hatred of other people. And I look inside myself and I don't see that. I have hatred, but it's not based on that. It's not based on stupid shit like race or gender or anything like that. It's based on the people who are part of the fucking solution and the people who are part of the fucking problem. Now, maybe I have a different idea about what the problem and solution are than other people. Because to me, the problem is stupid people trying to oppress us, trying to control us, trying to make us adhere to their vision of what human behavior ought to be. And then there's me saying that human beings should be able to conduct themselves as they see fit. They should have the freedom to choose for themselves what is the right way to live, so long as they're not hurting anyone else. And it seems like there's still a problem here. There's some kind of breakdown where all I say is don't try to control how other people think and live their lives, and the response I get is, oh, well, you're just a sexist, misogynist piece of shit. You know, my only point is, let's not have a double standard. Let's not be intellectually dishonest. You know, let's approach this intelligently. Let's embrace diversity of opinion. Let's be humble enough to admit that maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're wrong. There should be no idea in your fucking head at any time that you're 100% certain of, that you're not willing to entertain other possibilities on. Nothing. There should be nothing. I'm the Amazing Atheist. My book is Neckbeard Uprising. It is available down below. I thought I had a copy here, but apparently I don't. So buy that. Enjoy that. Rate this video. Comment on this video. Do all the good shit. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. You know the fucking drill.